Have you ever spent your whole weekend cleaning the house, thinking you've done something good for your energy, only to feel even more stuck? Like something invisible is pushing money and luck away? You wipe, you scrub, you sweep. And yet, your Feng Shui energy feels heavier. The cash flow? Still not moving. What if I told you the way you clean might be the reason why your money flow is blocked? I mean it. Because here's the twist no one talks about. Some cleaning habits don't clear energy. They trap it. Some make your home look fresh, but silently bury your lucky flow under layers of emotional dust and energetic noise. And the worst part? They feel productive. They feel like you're resetting the space. But in Feng Shui, certain motions and timing can actually lock your energy in place, causing money leaks, stuck cash energy, and even silent conflict zones in your wealth corners. And trust me, I've seen people unknowingly scrub their blessings right into the drain. So in this video, we're going to talk about 5 everyday Feng Shui cleaning habits that look innocent, but are secretly messing with your qi flow, your lucky energy, and your path to real wealth. If you've ever felt like you're doing everything right, but still not seeing results, go ahead and like this video. Because maybe you're not blocked by your intention. Maybe it's just that your mop doesn't know Feng Shui. Claire had a thing for night cleaning, not because she loved it, but because that's when her thoughts got too loud. After the noise of her day died down, real estate calls, house showings, emails, invoices, she'd find herself standing in the kitchen, staring at the floor, broom in hand. One stroke, then another. Like clockwork, she'd sweep the same path every night around 11:45, right after brushing her teeth, right before she checked her bank app one last time. There was something calming about it, something controlled. She said it helped her clear the day. But in Feng Shui, she was actually clearing out something else. Her money qi, her night energy, her luck anchors. In traditional Feng Shui, nighttime is yin time, soft, still, inward. It's when your house absorbs, not releases. And cleaning with movement, sweeping, scrubbing, vacuuming, is considered yang action. It stirs the field. It wakes things that were meant to rest. It shakes the cash flow that was meant to settle. You don't reboot a laptop in the middle of a download. You don't stir soup once it's plated. But Claire didn't know. She thought she was doing good. She thought movement meant productivity, and productivity meant prosperity. Except, every time she swept past her entryway, the air felt sharper. Every time she swept past her desk, deals fell through the next day. Clients canceled. Random fees popped up. She kept thinking, maybe Mercury's in retrograde. But in reality, her broom was in sabotage. See, energy needs to land. Money needs to feel safe to stay. And if the energy in your home never gets a full stop, never gets a moment to anchor, it'll keep drifting. Just like cash does when your qi is always being stirred like a snow globe. Claire's real estate income wasn't just slow. It was erratic. Good weeks, then 2 weeks of silence. One big deal, followed by 3 dry months. And the worst part? She blamed herself. She thought maybe she just wasn't doing enough. So she swept harder, cleaned deeper, all at night. Claire grew up in a house where you had to earn your rest. Her mom vacuumed at midnight. Her dad balanced checkbooks while watching infomercials. They called it keeping the house moving. But energy doesn't need constant motion. It needs rhythm, like breath, like waves, like trust. Claire was afraid of stopping, because to her, stillness meant falling behind. But that's exactly what her money needed: stillness. A pause. A space to breathe. It's like trying to plant a seed and digging it up every hour to make sure it's growing. You think you're nurturing it, but really, you're stopping it from rooting. One night, Claire's aunt visited. A retired florist from Arizona. The kind of woman who talked to her succulents and read Feng Shui books at garage sales. She saw Claire sweeping and casually said, "You're pushing your good luck out the door, babe. Let it stay the night." Claire laughed it off, until she noticed something. That night, the one night she didn't sweep, she slept deeper. And in the morning, she woke up to a random wire transfer. A commission check that had been held up for weeks just appeared. Coincidence? Maybe. But Claire didn't risk it again. Now, she sweeps in the morning. She lights a small candle after dinner instead. She tells her space, "We're done for the day. You can rest now." And it rests. And she rests. And her money? It flows better than it has in years. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do for your wealth energy is to let it be. She keeps her broom in the hallway closet now, next to a sticky note that says, "Clean with love, not fear, and not at midnight." Jerry mopped his kitchen like he was wiping away bad luck. Quick, firm strokes, always starting in the center, pushing out toward the hallway. You'd hear the squeak of the mop at 6:30 every morning, right after he made his single egg and black coffee. The house was spotless. Shiny floors, no dust, no clutter. And yet, something felt off, like the space was always chasing something away. Money never stayed long. Luck came in, waved, then walked right out again. It wasn't until a friend pointed it out that Jerry paused. "Why do you always mop outwards like that?" she asked. "I don't know," he said. "Feels natural, like I'm clearing things out." And that was the problem. In Feng Shui, movement is meaning. Every motion you make with your hands or feet becomes a message to your space. And when you mop from the center of the home out toward the doors, you're literally telling your energy and your cash flow to leave. Instead of attracting wealth into the core of your space, you're flushing it out. Instead of anchoring luck into the heart of your home, you're dragging it into the hallway and letting it drift. Energy follows intention, but it also follows motion. And Jerry, without knowing it, had made a morning ritual of exile. Here's the thing. Jerry's a retired school janitor. 40 years pushing brooms, cleaning after noisy teenagers, removing gum from under desks, fixing clogged toilets. He's used to cleaning with urgency. Fast, focused, efficient. But at home, that energy doesn't translate the same. Because a school is a space of movement. A home is a space of grounding. And Jerry had never learned how to switch gears. He also grew up in a generation that believed in working it out. When life got hard, you worked more. When money was tight, you cleaned harder. Because doing something, anything, felt better than standing still. But in Feng Shui, the way you clean says more than how often you clean. If your movement is always outward, you're sending out your qi. You're depleting your home's energy reserves without giving them a chance to refill. Imagine trying to fill a bucket with holes at the bottom. Every time Jerry tried to rest, something pulled at his energy. Unexpected bills, medical fees, appliance breakdowns, random bursts of anxiety. The house was clean, but the air felt thin. He couldn't catch a break. One afternoon, while getting a trim at the Vietnamese barber shop he always went to, the owner, Mr. Thun, made an offhand comment. "You mop from middle to door?" he asked. Jerry blinked. "Yeah. Why?" Mr. Thun just smiled. "In my village, we mop from door to center. So luck comes in and stays." Jerry chuckled. But that night, the phrase stuck in his head. So the next morning, for the first time in decades, he dipped his mop and started from the front door. He pulled the water inward, toward the kitchen, toward the little round table where he scratched off lottery tickets, toward the place he always sat and looked at bills. The house felt heavier that day. Not in a bad way. It was like something had returned. So he kept doing it. Day after day. He mopped from the outside in. And slowly, little shifts started to happen. His monthly water bill dropped. He won $200 on a scratcher. His granddaughter offered to pay for his dental work. Nothing crazy. But the flow felt kinder. Now, he jokes about it. Says, "I spent my whole life mopping luck out the door. Now I mop it right back in." He even got creative with it. Some days, he'd speak his worries into the mop water before starting. "Let the doctor bills settle," he'd whisper. "Let the truck repair hold off just one more week." Then he'd smile and say, "And bring me a lucky scratch ticket while you're at it." His neighbor, Paula, called it cleaning with soul. Jerry just said, "I clean like I mean it now." He swears the house listens. The water feels different. The mop glides softer. And the door? It doesn't feel like an exit anymore. It feels like an entrance to flow. And every time he dips that mop in lemon water, he says, "This one's for the bills. This one's for my joints. This one's for the new air fryer I got my eye on." And the floor? Still spotless. But the space? Now it holds him. Martha had a playlist on her old iPod called Clean Like Nobody's Watching. Every Thursday at 10 a.m., like clockwork, she'd press play. The moment her second cup of tea was done, Frank Sinatra would start crooning, and her whole house would shimmy into a cleaning ritual, or so she thought. She'd hum. She'd sway. The mop would glide like it had rhythm. But if you looked closer, you'd notice something. Every single time, Martha would dump her dirty mop water right into the garden drain outside the back porch. "Feels good to get the junk out," she'd say. And yet, the junk never really left. In Feng Shui, water isn't just water. It carries memory, emotion, residue, especially after cleaning. That mop water, it's not just dirt. It's energy. You've just swept out old arguments, tired thoughts, Monday tension, the quiet stress hiding near the couch leg. And when you dump it without thought, right onto a drain or into the yard, you're not releasing it. You're recycling it into your environment. Worse, if that drain sits on a Feng Shui wealth zone like the southwest corner of the property, you're literally flooding your cash flow with waste chi. That's exactly what Martha was doing. Week after week, pouring the stale, gunky energy right into the path where her money luck was trying to grow. And she didn't know. Martha is a stay-at-home grandma. 3 kids, 5 grandkids, and a calendar full of birthdays and potlucks. She's warm, precise, funny. She clips coupons, always has butterscotch candy in her purse, and has a memory better than Google. She grew up with the phrase, "Get it out of the house. Don't let bad energy sit." So she took it literally, dumped water fast, got back to dancing, until her youngest granddaughter, a college student with a crystal necklace and a TikTok about energy, watched her pour mop water down the drain and said, "Grandma, you just told your money to leave." Martha raised an eyebrow, but that night, she Googled it. Feng Shui mop water drain meaning. Her eyes widened. She learned that used mop water is supposed to be sealed with intention. That pouring it out near wealth areas creates an energy loop of loss. That salt bowls, lemon peels, even a simple pause before dumping could make a difference. So she made a change. Added salt near the drain. Poured slow. Said a quiet thanks. And that week, her baking order finally came through. A friend brought herbs from the garden, and she found a crisp 20 folded in her old jacket pocket. Now she smiles and says, "Turns out even mop water's got feng shui. By the way, if this is hitting close to home, if your mop, your door, or even your playlist is starting to make more sense than it should, go ahead and subscribe. We do this every day." because energy doesn't wait for weekends. Martha loves a good breeze. Always has. She says it makes the house feel like it's breathing again. So every Thursday, when she cleaned, she'd fling the front door wide open, let the sunlight in, let the wind roll through. It felt free. It felt fresh. But in Feng Shui, it felt ungrounded. Here's the thing. When you clean, you stir energy. You lift it up, move it around, invite release. And when your front door is wide open during that process, with no grounding, no boundaries, no intentional anchor, you are creating an energy tunnel, not just for airflow, but for your chi to escape. And for everything on the street, the noise, the rush, the neighbors' scattered energy, to walk right into your reset space. Martha didn't mean to invite chaos. She just didn't know. Her mom used to say, "Air it all out. Don't let yesterday linger." So she did. And with it, out went her luck. She'd mop and scrub, then sit down for lunch, only to feel oddly tired. Things would break. Mail would get delayed. The house felt lighter, but so did her wallet. Until one Thursday, her granddaughter, same one with the crystals and TikTok, watched her from the couch and said, "You're letting your blessings out the front door, Grandma." Martha paused, and that night, she did her homework. She found posts warning about leaky doors during cleaning, suggestions for anchoring mats, grounding weights, intentional pauses. So the next week, she kept the door closed, cleaned just the same, then opened it only after everything was done. She said it felt like the house held the reset instead of watching it fly away. Now, every Thursday, she still dances to Frank Sinatra, but the breeze comes after the mop rests. And before she opens that door, she smiles and says, "Come on in, look, we've been waiting." Derek wiped down the counters like a man possessed. Every morning before work, bleach, spray, paper towel, swipe, swipe, swipe. He'd smooth the kitchen island like it was a showroom. The sink sparkled. The microwave shined. But if you open the drawer next to the fridge, chaos. Old batteries, soy sauce packets, expired coupons, broken earbuds. The place looked clean, but under the surface it buzzed. Derek thought he was on top of things. Single dad. 2 jobs. One 7-year-old who loved peanut butter on everything. He didn't have time to deep clean. He just needed things to look right. In Feng Shui, that's where the trap begins. When you only clean what you can see, you're not clearing energy. You're just distracting it. The flow might bounce off shiny countertops, but it hits a wall the moment it senses clutter behind closed doors. Chi needs consistency. Not perfection, but honesty. And Derek's space was honest only at surface level. He kept wondering why things stalled. He'd get tips at work, then lose them to random bills. His kid kept getting sick. He felt drained even after sleeping. He blamed the city, the stress, the rent. But part of it was the invisible mess that kept pulling his energy down. Because in Feng Shui, every drawer, every corner, every spot you pretend not to see, still talks to your space. They whisper, and sometimes they scream. Derek didn't grow up with a lot. His mom was the queen of, just make it neat. If it looked clean, it was clean. Clutter was shoved under the bed, in the closet, in boxes labeled later. So that's what Derek did. Until one day he had a weird experience. He came home after a long night shift, tired, sweaty, broke, and opened the silverware drawer, only to find a cockroach sitting on top of a plastic fork. He freaked. He cleaned the whole drawer, took everything out, and that's when he found an envelope he forgot existed. Inside, $42 cash. Leftover change from a birthday he thought he'd already spent. He stood there, holding the money, staring at the drawer, and something clicked. That drawer had energy. That forgotten envelope had energy. And he'd ignored both. So that weekend, he went further. He opened the hallway closet, tossed the expired meds, wiped down the dust on top of the water heater, found 2 missing library books, and a letter from his mom, handwritten, sweet, from before things got hard. And suddenly, the house felt different. Not cleaner, clearer. He told his coworker at the Thai takeout place. She nodded and said, "My aunt says if you ignore a corner, you block a blessing. That's Feng Shui." So now, Derek cleans with a new rule. 1 hidden spot a day. Just one. A drawer. A cabinet. Behind the couch. He doesn't try to perfect it. He just lets the energy know, "I see you." And that's enough. His son sleeps better. His tips got bigger. He got approved for a rental rebate he didn't even apply for. And he says, "The stuff you avoid, it avoids you back. But when you open space, cash finds space." He still wipes the counters, still bleaches the sink. But now, the drawer next to the fridge, it's organized. And every time he opens it, he smiles and says, "No roaches, just receipts and room for luck." And here's the funny part. The cleaner he got behind the scenes, the calmer his mornings became. No more last minute, "Where's my keys?" panic. No more mystery charges on his debit card. No more weird tension sitting at the table, like the house was holding its breath. Even his kid noticed. "Dad," he said one morning, "it smells like nothing in here, but like the good kind of nothing." Derek laughed. But deep down, he knew that nothing was space. And space is where cash flow likes to land. So maybe it's not the cleaning itself that's the problem. Maybe it's how we clean. What we ignore, what we rush, what we open too wide, or don't close at all. Because Feng Shui isn't about spotless perfection. It's about energy that moves and rests in the right rhythm. And sometimes, a small shift, like how you mop, where you pour, or whether you dare to look behind the couch, can open up more flow than an entire day of scrubbing ever could. So if your home has ever felt off, like the money doesn't stay, the energy drags, or your luck just slips through the cracks, maybe it's not about working harder. Maybe it's about cleaning smarter. With rhythm, with awareness, with just enough softness to let the good things settle. If today's video gave you a new way to look at your own space, go ahead and like it. It helps this wisdom reach more people like us. And if you haven't yet, subscribe, because we share 2 new videos every day, and one of them might be exactly what your energy needs next. Tell me in the comments, which of these cleaning patterns surprised you the most? Or, what's the one drawer in your house you still pretend not to see? And hey, if this video helped you reset something, share it with someone you love. We all deserve a home that holds our luck, not leaks it. If you haven't seen it yet, I recommend watching our other video, 5 Feng Shui bedroom mistakes that quietly drive your luck and energy. You'd be surprised what clutter under the bed can do to your wealth zone. Until next time, your space speaks. Wisdom listens.